did the last time.
It's a repeat. Show business. You know, it's you don't always get it in one take.
I know.
Take two. Have a little more drink while we're waiting. Isn't that how we laugh? Okay, that's enough of that. Now let's start over.
All right.
Rochester,
Yes.
9 kids, nasty German father,
Yes.
and this
Well,
guy comes along
this
that
is in
offers you
later
a
years,
house
Yes.
and a marriage proposal.
Yeah.
Did you have any boyfriends before you met him?
No.
No?
No.
You didn't date anybody?
How could I? I was at home all the time.
How old were you?
I was 20 when I got married.
Were you a virgin?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, everybody was then.
I don't think everybody was. That's
Well,
not
this
what
is
I
what-
hear.
This is back,
Maybe you were a virgin, but I'm sure there
back
was.
in the 30s and 40s, early 40s, middle 40s.
So, since you were a virgin and you got married, you didn't really know what to expect.
No.
I mean, you went into uncharted territory here,
Yeah.
right?
I ran
How did
into-
that go? Did you enjoy your first encounter?
Well, not really. It was a problem to begin with.
Did he have a
Because-
problem?
Well, he was in Attica State Prison.
He was what?
In Attica State Prison.
When you married him?
I didn't know that when I married him.
Do tell.
Yeah.
What happened? How did you find out? How did you find
His
out?
mother-in-law told me. And I thought, well, if she says he's all right, he's got to be all right. You know, people make mistakes.
Oh, so after you married him, his mother said, you know, he was in state
his
prison.
mother-in-law.
Oh, his mother-in-law.
Yeah. And he was married before.
Did you know that before you married him?
Yes, I didn't
You
know.
knew he
that.
was married before, but you didn't know he was in prison.
No. I didn't know he was married before until after the mother-in-law told me. And I didn't know he was in prison until after the mother-in-law told me. I didn't know his wife, but they both worked, and she was working for Kimberly Clark, was a big shot going all over the country. Well, she contacted tuberculosis.
His wife.
Yes, and she was in a sanatorium. So he was working. He was a foreman in Union Carbide,
Mm-hmm.
and he made big money. And on the way home one night, he robbed a gas station at gunpoint.
Well, if he made good money, why is he robbing a gunpoint?
Don't ask me.
I'm
The
asking
house-
you.
The house was paid for. I didn't know.
He just had a hobby.
And I think his mother said he got kicked in the head by a horse.
He got kicked
Years
in
ago-
the head
years
by
ago,
a horse.
And she said he was never right after.
That
And
makes
this was
sense.
all told to me after I married him.
Be nice to know that information before
Yeah,
you decided to marry the guy.
Oh, but he was still good. He was good. He provided, you know, up until he wanted to farm, quit his job, wanted to sell the house and buy a bigger house and more land. And he bought 100 acres and a shack that was falling apart. He had to fix.
And that was your home?
Yeah. And the first thing that happened was I fell through the kitchen floor with the stove.
You and the stove
Yes,
fell through the
I
kitchen
was cooking
floor.
in the stove and I went right down.
You
through
were
the floor.
cooking when the stove and you went through the
Yes.
floor? You had stuff on the stove?
Oh yeah. At my
Someone,
table
did you
set,
get burned?
everything. No, I didn't. And so he had to have a new floor put in. And I washed dishes in the bathtub and in the bathroom, and because I couldn't get out in the kitchen.
Because there was a hole in the floor.
Yeah, and they were fixing it. Had to rip the whole floor up and put a new floor in.
How many children did you have with this man?
Pardon me?
How many children did you have with him?
I had Chuck and Susan, who was pregnant for Trudy. Yeah,
So how many children total did you have with him?
I had 5 with him.
So
And-
apparently the marriage worked for
well, because
5 children.
I just did what I was told to do, and that was it.
You were an obedient
Yeah.
wife.
And I just got tired of it. I finally opened my mouth, and when my oldest son said to me, "Mom, this is 1960. You got to get out of here."
1960.
Yeah. He says, "You got to get out of here, Ma." He says, if you don't,
So
I'm
your
running.
own son told you to leave this
I'm
guy.
running away. And I said, you can't do that, Chuck. You know, it's going to make it hard for me. I said, in the spring, I promise you I'll find a house. So I found a house in the next town for $25 a month, but it had no running water. It had no inside bathroom. and
In
it had-
1960, it had no running water. So was there
Well,
a hand
it
pump
was by the
outside?
it was down by the coal company for $25 a month. And no inside John.
You had an outhouse?
Yeah, so I painted it all and fixed it all up really nice, and the kids and I moved in, and
5 kids in a house with no running water and an outhouse
Yeah,
in 1960?
yeah,
Some might say you were poor.
oh yeah, we were poor.
In 1960, that's a very good definition of
I
being
know.
very poor. That you don't have a toilet in your house. I mean,
know.
right?
So anyway,
Right.
we were there all summer, and it's getting on to November, and he goes to the courts and tell them that I brought my kids into a place that had no running water, no furnace, and no bathroom, and I've taken them out of a house where they had a furnace and running water and inside bathroom, and I had to take them back.
Why? Because they were going to take the kids from you and
Yeah,
bring.
they would take them away for me. So my attorney said to me, the only thing I can tell you, Shirley, he was guaranteeing my wages, because my name was on everything. And so they were guaranteeing my wages. So I had nothing
Because you
left.
worked.
Yeah, and I had nothing left. So the attorney said to me, Shirley, the only thing I can tell you, I got the name of this attorney in Hollywood, Florida. I got one in Atlanta, one in Hollywood, Florida, that I went to college with. And he said, you're going to have to get a divorce in order to get these things off your name. You know, all the guarantees. And so I said, well, I guess I'll have to. And I said, well, I think I don't want to go to Atlanta. I don't know anything about it. And I really don't know anything about Florida. But I said, the kids, I can pack the car and the kids and I can go to Florida.
Did you know anybody down here?
No. And so I'm all ready to go. And the law came and I couldn't take him.
Why?
I'd be kidnapping him because he didn't want me to take him over the state line.
Wow. You're a woman trapped.
I know. And I was all ready to go, and the lawyer, Mr. Perez, says, go anyway, Shirley. You'll get those kids. You go ahead, and I'll work on it. So I cried all the way to Florida.
Without your children.
Yeah. And I got a job taking care of the motel. It called the Florida Sands. And I had free rent, and I rented the rooms.
Where was Florida Sands?
Right on Federal Highway up here.
But in Dania or Hollywood?
Yeah, Dania. Right across from the gas station. There was Kirby's or whatever it was.
So it was one of those roadside motels
Yeah,
on Federal Highway.
yeah.
And
Florida
how did you
Sands.
get the job? Did you just drive down here
Well,
and
I
say, I'm a
happened
girl
to
in trouble and I need a job? I mean,
I
the
happened to-
hell? I'm on the run.
I
Have
happened
another
to-
sherry, Shirley.
I happened to stay there. I had to get a room. And there was nobody there. And I went
So you
in-
went to stay there and you ended up working there.
Yeah, there was nobody there. And I went next door to the woman and she said, you know, that woman that was taking care of that place up and left. And the owners are in Indiana. And they're very good friends of mine. So I'm going to call them. Would you take care of the motel till they get back in November? And so I said, yeah, because I had to have a place to stay and I had to look for work. And so at least I had a place to stay and I didn't have to pay any rent. And I had money that I could eat on. That's all I needed until I found something.
And you had a car.
And I had my car. But anyway, I got down here and it wasn't long before Carl followed me down
How did he follow you down?
with his car.
Oh, your husband. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he, I knew him up north, but I didn't want to get involved with anybody. I got kids. I can't be getting involved with a man. But anyway, he come down, and he said that he's left his job, and he says he wants to marry me. And I said, Carl, I have nothing but 5 kids in a house.
Wait a minute. Now you're talking about your second husband.
Yeah.
Well, how did you knew Carl when you left your first husband?
Yeah.
And he knew you left your first husband?
Yes.
So he said, I'm going to go down there and scoop that
Yes.
woman with 5 children up.
Yes.
You were so attractive that he didn't care that you already had 5 children, apparently.
That's right.
That's right.
And he said...
You must have been quite the siren.
Yes, he was. He said, I said, Carl, I have nothing. I got 5 kids and I own part of the house. And he says, you mean we have 5 kids?
He said that before
Yeah.
he even married you?
Yes.
Wow.
And
What a
I had my
romance.
divorce
What a
then.
champ.
Wow.
In the meantime, I went to
Pay no
Hollywood.
attention to the woman in the background. She's part of the audience.
In the
She'll be clapping
meantime-
later.
I went to Hollywood and got my divorce. I got that in September, something like that,
What year?
1964,
Wow.
something like that.
And how long after that did you marry Carl?
In November.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to be having...
How'd you get your kids down here?
Oh, they came down. Yeah.
So you were able to divorce, get
Yeah.
custody of your children?
I got custody of them. My husband sent them down. And but I wouldn't have him living with me and my kids and not married. I didn't.
So
think
you had to hurry up and get married.
I didn't think it
Well,
was
did
right.
you really love this guy?
Oh yeah.
You did?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
And he knew you when you were married to the first husband?
Yeah. We went to school together.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you and
Yeah.
Carl went to school together.
Yeah,
He should have been the one to marry you the first time.
I know.
Why
But
didn't
he
he-
was in the army,
Oh.
and
He was probably planning on asking you when he came back.
he never married. He said he was always waiting for me. So, but
So when
anyway,
wow, that's interesting.
the kids came down, all but Jeff. Now Jeff is the middle son. His father doted on him. His father gave him anything he wanted. He could do anything he wanted. If he was in trouble, his father would get him out of jail. His father did everything. And he was spoiled. He knows it to this day. And he said he never wanted to come with me because I had rules. And he had no rules at home. His father doted on him from the day I brought him home from the hospital.
Well, he was probably just like his father.
He is. He
Well,
looks like him.
that's why.
Yes, built like him. And he says he's not like him, though. He said, I don't think I ever loved Dad. He said, I liked him.
But he loves his mommy.
Yeah. And he'd come down on vacations, when I'd buy his school clothes. But he didn't want to, because he could hang out on the corner and drive
Have
the
freedom.
truck at yeah. Have his Harleys, and then his father would get mad at him as he got older, and he'd come down with me, and he'd go back and he'd say, God, I don't know why you don't get some orange juice in here, Dad. Ma had orange juice for me, and she fixed my breakfast, and she did this and did that, and he got madder now. Madder now.
Well, it was true.
Well, but I never talked about him to the kids,
You never talked bad about him.
No. I said, what happened between your father and I was between him and I, not you kids.
See,
So-
people today don't do that. They turn the children against the other
No,
parent.
you can't do that.
But they do it all the time.
Yeah, but that's
You
a
know that
wrong,
happens.
wrong thing to do.
Well, you come from a generation where they don't do that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That's a wrong thing to do. Then of course we had young Carl.
You only had one child with Carl.
Yeah. We had a set of twins, but they passed away. They only lived 3 days.
Oh. Where are they buried?
Pardon me?
Were they buried?
Yeah. In Boca Raton.
Why Boca Raton?
That's where I was when I had them.
Oh. With all
Um,
the hospitals here? Hollywood
I was
Memorial?
at Bethesda Hospital up there.
Do you ever visit the grave?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah.
Did you name them?
Yeah, they had to be named. I named one after my father and one after his father. And they were
So they were boys.
Yeah, they were
Identical?
Yeah, I didn't see them. Carl did. Because there was Carl, the priest, and the undertaker.
Why did they die?
They weren't mature.
Oh, they were premature.
Yeah, they were
Oh.
a pound and something.
Today they would have lived. Today they could have survived with the
I don't
technology.
think so, because they were males. If it was females, yes. But males...
Well, no, the technology of keeping babies
Yeah.
alive, preemies, has come a long way.
They were only a pound,
They can do it.
you know. But anyway, so I had young Carl, so that made 3 girls and 3 boys. And I had said to Carl, after Carl was like a year old, I said, you know, Carl, you never had any children. Now, if you want to try for a girl, I'm willing to do it. It's up to you. He said, no. He says, we got 3 boys now. I got 3 boys now, and I got 3 girls.
He always claimed them as his own.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And of course, the old man had never let them be adopted, so I didn't fight that. I mean, that's his right.
Right.
You know. And then after the kids came down, you know how much I got for them a month? $10.
For all of them?
Yeah.
He owes you money.
Jesus, well, he's dead and gone. But anyway,
How old are you, Shirley?
I'm 89.
When did you start smoking cigarettes?
When I was 12.
What kind of cigarettes did you smoke?
Sunshines.
Sunshines?
Sunshines. Lucky
Why
Strikes.
sunshines?
Well, that's what they had then.
Why did you start smoking at
I
that
don't
age?
know. My parents smoked
When did you quit?
last November.
Shirley, you can't be serious.
No, I am. Last November. Quit cold
Are you
turkey.
kidding me?
After 76 years. It took me 76 years to get it in my head that you shouldn't
Wow,
be smoking
you
cigarettes.
don't fit the profile.
Yeah.
We can't
Jeez.
put you on the cigarette package to say that smoking
No.
kills.
And then they had Lucky Strikes. And on the side of the pack, there were 3 pennies on the cigarettes.
And what did that mean?
You got 3 pennies.
You mean they had the pennies in the pack?
Yeah, on the side, in the celluloid. Oh, yeah. That was fun. You know, my
Did you
parents...
do
were-
any? You didn't do any drugs or anything when you were growing
No.
up?
Only in I had a brand new sweater. I loved it. A red sweater. It was a Sloppy Joe sweater.
What's a sloppy Joe sweater?
Well, it come down low.
And they call that sloppy Joe?
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
Then he had a pleated skirt, a short pleated skirt with it, and saddle shoes.
Saddle shoes and
Yeah.
a short pleated skirt.
Yes. I had a gray skirt, and in the pleats was red. And my sweater matched the red.
Wow, nice.
And I had white socks and saddle shoes.
How old were you?
Probably 12, 13. And we're coming home from school. We stopped at the drugstore to get, you know, some soda. You could have the booze there. Get a soda or some French fries. And this one girl had we were smoking, and this one girl had cigarettes and passed it around to everybody. And
Why didn't the adults say something if they saw a 12-year-old smoking a cigarette?
never did. And,
It was weed.
So, you know, she passed it around and I smoked it, and all of a sudden I looked at my sweater and I had all these little holes in it, pinholes. I was so mad. And I said, I don't want it, I'll smoke my Lucky Strikes. And I had all pinholes, and it was from the marijuana.
They gave you a marijuana cigarette
Yeah,
in the diner?
yeah. We all sat there smoking it.
Surely, you can't be serious.
I am. Nobody paid attention
Never
to you
gets
then.
old.
I mean, you're sitting in a booth.
But weed smells a lot different than a cigarette. If you smoke a joint in a restaurant or a diner, it's gonna stink. It
Yeah,
smells
well,
funny.
Yeah, but
Did you get high from it?
no. I got mad because it put holes in there.
That
My
turned you
sweater.
off marijuana.
Yeah. I thought, the hell with that, I'll smoke
Have
my
some
Lucky
more.
Strikes.
Have some more Harvey's Bristol cream.
I got enough.
I don't think so.
But, that was back, I think, in 41. Was that coming home from school one day anyway? And this dump we were in, it didn't have very many people.
Right. Was that in Rochester?
In a small town
Yeah.
outside of Rochester. But no, my parents smoked.
Everybody smoked.
Yeah. Yeah, on television, movie stars. You know,
It was glamorous.
You were a nerd if you didn't smoke. You know, they had the cigarette lighters and. But anyway, it was hard growing up. You know, you grew up in. I can remember when I was going to kindergarten. I had to walk the trolley tracks. I walked to school.
In the kindergarten?
Yeah.
God, you were probably 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, I was. And we lived in the coal company. It was the shack that the watchman lived in. My father was looking for a house and couldn't find one. And there was my brother and I, and my sister, but she lived with his mother, the grandmother. So that's where we lived. And then he finally rented a place on Lake Bluff. There was the lake, it was a bluff, and the houses were here, the street. Then he went down the embankment, was a railroad track, and then another embankment was Lake Ontario. So he rented that for the summer.
Let's get back to the coal shack.
Yeah,
What was that like?
terrible.
How big was it?
Well,
So that was where the watchmen lived for the coal
Yeah.
company, and you guys rented it to live in?
yeah,
Was there any running water in that?
no,
Was there any heat?
no,
How did you stay warm?
with a coal stove
My
in
God,
the living room.
that was poor.
Yeah,
Look how rich you are now.
I know.
You have running water and air conditioning
know.
and heat and a microwave and
Yeah.
a cell phone.
Yeah,
You're like a millionaire now compared to where you
know.
grew up.
you know, we had pots, commode, you know.
You had a bedpan, like a chamber pot.
Yeah, chamber pots. Yeah, Christ.
Gross.
And we had an outhouse.
Grosser.
And when we moved and all the kids were big enough to work, my father would have the neighbors come and move the outhouse, and
Ugh.
the boys had to shovel it out and clean it out.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh yeah,
That's a fun job.
honey dipping.
That's what they called it?
Yeah.
Honey dipping. So when they shovel it, where do they shovel it? What happens to it?
He had a wagon. Then he'd take it back in the woods.
Just dump it in the woods someplace?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you turned out pretty good, Shirley.
Well, I think we all did, really.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because we had
Some people let their childhood ruin their entire life.
No, not us.
Why?
We just made our minds up we were going to get out. And we had to work. We knew we had to work if we wanted anything. It wasn't given to us. And so we worked.
How many? And all your siblings were a hard worker, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
nobody had a problem.
No. The oldest boy went into the service and spent 30 years there. So he's all right. And the next oldest boy was a carpenter. And he built a house, and a beautiful house. And he'd build furniture and kitchen cabinets, things like that. And so he had a family, 2 girls and 2 boys, and had a home in the country. And the kids had horses, and
It sounds like everybody made it out of there alive.
yeah. And of course he died.
How many of your siblings are left alive?
I have 3 brothers and 1
Still
sister.
living?
Yeah, and 1 sister.
Where are you? Are you the middle child?
No, I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah. And my brother is in Massachusetts. He's 87.
You're doing pretty good for smoking
Yeah.
for 79 years.
Yeah.
And you're sharp as a tack.
89 years.
You smoked for 76
6 years.
6 years, right?
And my brother,
You-
89, still smoking.
89 and
Yeah.
still smoking.
Or 87, still smoking.
And I see you go to the beach and tan a lot.
Yeah.
Do you use sunscreen?
No, I didn't. I should have.
76 years smoking and no sunscreen.
No, I didn't. I
She's my
should've.
idol.
You know.
No, you shouldn't use sunscreen.
Yeah, I've got some, but I
Why
didn't
use it now? Why bother?
Oh, I won't. It's not in the sun. Ah, jeez.
Well, it's been great having you on the show today, Shirley.
Well, I'll tell you.
You tell
I'm gonna
me.
miss you guys on Friday
But you're
nights.
coming back this fall,
Yeah.
and we're not done. So we have to say goodbye because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So it was a pleasure having you here, and we can't wait to
Well,
see you in the fall. And you enjoy your
yes,
summer with Lindy. We
yes.
didn't even cover half the topics I want to cover.
I will.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
think about some more stories, okay?
Yeah, I'll tell you some, you know.
All right. Don't
growing
keep
up.
talking. We got to shut it down soon.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.